Hello guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Serena WW and welcome to another video. Today we're going to be having a book review, and this book review is one that hits history, culture, and goes into a lot of controversies as well. So I'm going to be reviewing Chinua Achebe's Trilogy that has to do with Things Fall Apart, Arrow of God, and No Longer at Ease. Stay tuned. And if this is your first time here, my channel is all about productivity, lifestyle, and law related content. And I like to do a lot of book reviews, and also I like to talk about other good content. So stick around if you're in tune with those good stuff. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and drop a comment down below if you have read these books. So first on my list, I'm going to be talking about Things Fall Apart. Things Fall Apart opens up with the story of Okonkwo, who was a rigid hero, a very stubborn one at that, and also it talks about the impact of the missionaries, colonialism, and also focuses basically on the traditional Igbo history. It actually criticizes pre-colonial era and also the diversities that this colonial era had to do with all that good stuff back in those days. So I don't want to bore you too much, but Things Fall Apart was a novel. I read that a couple of times. It was a novel that was also translated into a movie, and it showed how, in as much as colonialism came, the people at that time fought colonialism, and they couldn't fight as much because there were not so many people that were on the side of colonialism, as well as people were also fighting towards colonialism. So there's this story of Okonkwo. Okonkwo was one that was really saying, oh, no to this, no to that. I want to stand and focus on how I can better and grow with or without colonialism. And that was just it. Then also let's go into Arrow of the Gods. Arrow of the Gods was a beautiful story. Things Fall Apart. You felt Things Fall Apart was beautiful, yeah? But Arrow of the Gods was a more interesting story. Things Fall Apart was a good ride, no doubts about it. It was really good. But Hour of the Gods was top tier. Before you see No Longer at Ease. No Longer at Ease followed a story of Obi Okonkwo, that had to do with the fact that, oh, he got education. As a result of education, he was exposed to living with the white people, working as a civil servant, and all of that good stuff. But let's talk about the Arrow of the Gods first. So Arrow of the Gods is similar, where it centers about Ezeolu, a chief priest trying to navigate conflicts between local traditional people and the emerging power of colonialism. So you can see why this is called a trilogy is because it actually talks about the colonial era, how colonialism came into, they used the traditional Igbo setting to focus on how colonialism came in and how it developed and how the people revolted towards colonialism. The Hour of the Gods focused simply about Ezeolu, a chief priest who was trying to navigate between local tradition and the provision of colonialism, like having to eradicate New Yam festivals and the likes, and having to say, oh no, that tradition should still stand. So it was a beautiful read all the same. Now, No Longer at Ease follows up with the story of the grandson of Okonkwo. Yeah, like that's why it's called a trilogy, because each story follows through. So now here it focuses on the return of the grandson from England, and also having to be a colonial civil servant serving in Lagos State, Nigeria, and focuses on how it tests his morality, and also how his morality is tested by corruption, and how he's able to stand his integrity post-independence era. However, it shows that Okonkwo's blood still runs in the grandson's vein. Here, in this No Longer at Ease, you can just see that the character that bears Okonkwo is still very stubborn, is still very rigid, is still very interested in standing by what he believes in. And I feel like the Trilogy by Chinua Achebe, it's a beautiful read because it focused basically on certain themes like colonialism, culture, and also like the complexity of characters and how they're able to progress despite different books. You can see that that's the consistency of the characters. So here we see that colonialism was an eye-opener, for the people, but they were willing to stand by what they already had in existence. And also its functions, they saw that colonialism was also a function of Christianity and whatnot. And it also shows that Chinua Achebe has this beautiful way of writing. Like, at every time I read Things Fall Apart, and every time I read Hour of the God, and every time I read No Longer at Ease, there was a line to underline. Let that sink. There was a line to underline because his use of words, next to none. Like, he had the economy of language. Like, it's being described as the economy of language, that he's able to encapsulate different proverbs in when he is writing his story. And I think that's it. Very impeccable, and that's one thing every writer should really adopt. Like, you being able to encapsulate like language and also use proverbs even when you are telling like really good story. Overall, I'll rate the trilogy of Chinua Achebe a 10 over 10. Honestly, there was no bad read. There was no bad read. There was no time that I was bored. Like, this book literally kept me up at night. So I want to know if you have read this book, if you would read this book, what are your thoughts about the review, and what do you think about Things Fall Apart, Hour of God, and also No Longer, No Longer at Ease. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to this YouTube channel so that I can give you more videos and get a lot of my videos when they come in. Thank you. Bye.